Hello everyone. This is going to be a shorter video today, but I've returned to the Croxley Rail Link yet again, this time for a third and final look at it. In part 1, I looked at a minimalist light rail approach. In part 2, I explored a much bolder option involving heavy rail expansion. It was an analysis of what could be done by improving the existing infrastructure to improve regional connectivity and address some of the long-standing issues around transport jurisdiction and operations. This final part is about something different. It's about what's most likely to happen. Join me as we take a closer look, and if you enjoy these kinds of videos, please subscribe for more. So first, let's deal with the options that are unlikely to happen. The first is a Metropolitan line extension. This, in my view, is the least likely outcome. There is very little incentive for London Underground to expand further outside Greater London, and the Metropolitan line is no exception. Its priorities are rooted in Greater London, not regional expansion into Hertfordshire or Buckinghamshire. The second idea is connecting Watford to Watford Junction by tunnel. As a regional rail scheme, this isn't impossible. 2 kilometres is not an excessive distance, but whether it would actually be built depends almost entirely on expected passenger uptake following improvements to the Abbey line and the Chesham branch. It's the kind of thing that would require large-scale surveillance to gauge this. We cannot simply look at the fact that it is underused now. Looking at a railway with poor passenger numbers and concluding it doesn't deserve improvement is usually a false economy. It still costs money to run a minimal service and maintain infrastructure and rolling stock to a safe standard. Infrequent and inconvenient services actively suppress demand as well. Historically, when railways are improved through higher frequency or more reliable rolling stock, uptake tends to follow. The London Overground is a very clear example of this. Improvements don't guarantee success, but running 1 train per hour could be leading to poor numbers by making driving seem more convenient. There is also a wider context here. The UK has environmental goals, and regional rail investment directly supports them. Judging schemes like this purely on short-term cost without considering induced demand or long-term benefits would be an extremely short-sighted way to approach transport planning. That said, even with those arguments, the Watford Tunnel remains an uncertainty, although I suspect it would be more palatable than building a viaduct or bulldozing through someone's garden. This brings us to what could realistically happen. The most realistic option centres on Chiltern Railways. In this scenario, Chiltern trains would switch onto the Croxley Green Line via a viaduct or bridges after Croxley, allowing services to call at Cassier Bridge and Vicarage Road, as well as Watford High Street and Watford Junction. Watford High Street would still need to be expanded to have 2 island platforms to account for height differences in rolling stock, particularly with the potential Bakerloo line re-extension in mind as well. It's also beneficial for holding trains before merging with the Bakerloo for a short section up to Watford Junction. It looks feasible as there might currently be enough room between the road and the station. At Watford Junction, Platform 5 would be reinstated and used exclusively for this service. This setup, similar to other London Overground style operations, should comfortably support about 4 trains per hour maximum. National Rail running at between 2 and 4 trains per hour would likely be sufficient to meet demand on the Croxley Green Line while providing the local connectivity the original scheme aimed for. Metropolitan line trains would still terminate at Watford. I don't see any change happening there. Under this arrangement, I think it's still reasonable to withdraw the Metropolitan line from Chesham and add a passing loop station at Chesham Boyce. The idea that Chesham would be downgraded by this is simply incorrect. Chesham would be able to retain 4 trains per hour during peak times, and that is a 100% increase in frequency, and gain an additional station for the area. Ideally, Chesham would have 2 trains per hour to Watford Junction via Rickmansworth and Croxley, as well as an additional 2 trains per hour during peak times that act as a shuttle from Chalfont and Latimer to Chesham. This will probably depend on whether Chiltern Railways choose to run an Aylesbury to Watford Junction service as well. It's also important to remember why Chesham currently has a direct Metropolitan line service in the first place. Chesham sits on a single-track branch, not the main line. Its through service exists largely because S8 stock trains cannot be shortened to 4-car units to use the bay platforms unlike the A stock could previously. This led to the shuttle being withdrawn in 2010 after the deployment of the S stock started. The assumption that every station should have a direct train to a specific destination by default is unrealistic. What matters in a railway network is frequency, access and connectivity, not guaranteed one-train journeys. Interchanges are not the problem they're often made out to be, and the number of passengers travelling specifically to Chesham is unlikely to cause overcrowding at Chalfont and Latimer. If that was the case, then the Chesham shuttle would have been withdrawn years before it actually was. The S stock removed from the Chesham service would be redeployed to another proposal within Greater London, which I'll be covering soon. When you strip away the more ambitious ideas and focus on what is actually deliverable, the most realistic outcome for the Croxley Green Line is not a London Underground expansion, but a national rail-led solution operated by Chiltern Railways. This approach avoids forcing London Underground to expand beyond its remit, and it still achieves the original goals of the Croxley Rail Link: better local connectivity, sensible interchanges, and a reasonable service frequency. Chesham is not being downgraded in this scenario. It actually gains frequency and an additional station, and this means that, while Chesham is not on the main line and is on a single track branch, people will get more trains connecting them to the main line, which is what's important. Ultimately, if the goal is a scheme that can actually be funded, built and operated without endless jurisdiction conflict, this is the version of the Croxley Rail Link that makes sense. It's not the boldest option, but I feel that it's the one that's most likely to happen. As always, thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, please like and share it and subscribe to the channel for more topics like this.